Hi Mum, you do everything for everyone else. Let me help you make your life easier. Quick, short information to make you empowered and remind you why you are so important. Because if you don't know what's on the menu, how can you choose what's right for you? Hi, I'm Alina, Director of my private practice Supportive Therapy, an everyday Aussie mum trying not to lose my biscuits and my kids. As a mental health professional, I'm here to share my secrets so no other mother feels alone or powerless. Knowledge is power, and I want you to be powerful. Think of it like I'm your mindset coach through all of this. Everything's backed by science and psychology. I believe in you, and I want you to be the best version of yourself. To be happy and to feel in control, you need to be mentally strong. Hello and welcome everyone to the podcast today. So this podcast is about reducing burnout and trying to stay engaged. It's a really important podcast for me, for people to understand what burnout actually is, how it impacts the brain, how it can impact yourself individually, and then with relationships as well as parenting. So psychological burnout is when we have taken on so much for such a long period of time, and now we're feeling the consequences of just keep swimming, and trying to push through each day. It's just this awful feeling of there's so much to do, I can't get on top of it day in, day out, to the point where it's all this stress, it's all this pressure, and now I just don't know what to do. So when you do experience burnout, it's an overwhelming sense of exhaustion. It can be negative feelings, such as we realize we're being more cynical or more pessimistic, and then as well as detaching or disconnecting from those around us. So that can be our partner, that can be our friends, and that can even be our own children. So when this happens, because of these trifecta of three things, it can now lead to a sense of hopelessness and a lack of accomplishments in everyday tasks which you would normally in the past enjoy. Some people describe it as the feeling of drowning or sinking or suffocating, and that's the thing, we all use different words to explain different things. And even if I'm explaining this to you and you don't know or have experienced burnout, when you can hear your friends or family members use those terms, drowning, sinking or suffocating, that's generally what burnout feels like. So when our family members, friends or children rely on you as a mother to constantly listen or to be there or to problem solve and to help them out constantly, we know that mum, right? It can intensify the burnout, leaving us with these overwhelming feelings like we're not able to cope, feeling like we can never get a break, feeling like it's just too much and too overwhelming, right? And then all the things that we normally able to cope and manage, things that aren't in the past that difficult, seem more difficult. Everything's harder and everything just feels heavier. So how can I possibly try to manage all of my own stuff when everyone else keeps piling their stuff on? And then snap, literally, right? I know you can't see me at the moment, but there's this amazing thing that I do with my clients to illustrate what burnout can be. So if you can picture me sitting on a chair with my hands in the air and I'm trying to carry these things. So I'm holding these things above me. So these things above me when I'm holding them can be children, can be school, can be the finances, can be housework, can be partner, can be my own work, and then can be the difficulties with the children, and then it can be the in-laws, all the problems with that, and then sometimes it can be all of this other stuff, and it's just kind of piling on, and it's just me trying to hold it all up. And so it's so difficult because this pile above me is so heavy now, because nothing ever kind of gets off. It's just me trying to hold it and hold it and hold it and hold it, and it's to the point where I can't breathe. It's just this feeling like it's too much, right? So when that happens to that point where this stuff above me I can't hold on to anymore, it just kind of heavy and it just stops. And when it's heavy and when it just stops in that moment, it's parts of our brain then start to shut down, because it's the anxiety or the pressure, the flight, fight, freeze has been happening for such a long time. It can't take it, so then it goes into that freeze. And that freeze can look like numbing out or dissociating. So in terms of your brain, it can look like everything looks dull and grey now. I can't see into the future. And I don't know what's wrong with my memory because I can't remember anything anymore. So when burnout goes on for such a long time, when you're carrying all those things in the heavy and the heavy and the heavy, and then people try and put more stuff on your stuff, which is already heavy, sometimes I can then try and like bite or push them away or snap at them because I'm so overwhelmed with my own stuff that I'm trying to carry. I can't have your stuff as well because I'm scared that I will sink. How can I carry mine and then take on yours? So I will do anything to push you away or snap or leave me alone or whatever that looks like. And then, as I said, when that happens for too long, your brain then has, I'm enough, I'm done, I can't do this anymore. And then it's that numbness, that dissociating. Dissociating, if you don't know. So sometimes dissociating feels like I'm standing there talking to someone, but I'm not really there. It's like I'm kind of floating behind myself somewhere, looking down on things. That's a form of dissociating. Another dissociating is a really common example is when you're driving in the car and you get to work, but you can't remember how you got there. That's dissociating. So I wish I could show you that infographic. I might do another thing on my Instagram a little bit later on it, but that's pretty much burnout in a nutshell, and how all that pressure of holding everything, carrying everything, and then how that obviously impacts our nervous system, because about women and our nervous system, we can't hold as much stress and pressure as men. So when we get really stressed and when we get overwhelmed in terms of our nervous system, our natural go-to response is to cry. And that's normal and that's okay. But depending on how you were raised and how you feel about yourself, sometimes when you break down and cry, you actually feel worse because I feel like a failure and I'm not coping. And then it exacerbates that drowning feeling, okay? We've all been there, honey. Everything's going to be okay, all right? So when we do experience psychological burnout, it affects every aspect of our lives. This includes our relationships, how we respond or react to others, if we can be present with them or if we do anything to push them away. Sometimes, which is really common that I hear, I'm snappy at my partner or I'm snappy at my kids and I can't deal with their stuff anymore, and next thing you know, I've reacted this way and then I'm all alone and I don't know why I've done that. Burnout's why you've done that. It could also reduce enjoyment of the things that you once looked forward to. So when I used to look forward to exercising or baking or whatever hobbies that you have, I don't want to do it anymore. It can also make you feel like giving up and then hiding under anything away from people. That thing of I just want to go and lay in my bed and turn off all the lights, stay under the doona and never come out again. So when all of this happens, it increases isolation, feelings of helplessness, and then it can spiral into this hardcore self-sabotaging behavior. So this self-sabotaging behavior is all of those things I was talking about, where the things that we would normally enjoy, or being social, or being engaged in things or our hobbies or even our own priorities, self-sabotaging now pushes everyone away. I don't want to do anything anymore. And for some reason, I've just kind of developed social anxiety, right? So it can, when this all happens, it increases the negative thoughts about ourselves. And then these negative thoughts can then impact on our emotional wounds or our negative core beliefs. So if you can think about your emotional wounds, so emotional wounds can be examples like feeling like a burden or an inconvenience, feeling like I'm never good enough, feeling like I'm always a failure, feeling like I'm always subjected to some kind of injustice. And then your negative core beliefs are I am wrong, I am bad, there's something wrong with me, I'm never good enough no matter what I do. And then that starts to spiral, you know. So understanding how all of these things need to be resolved, it's not just burnout. It's like this domino effect of how it impacts every single aspect of your life, okay? But I'm here to tell you, ladies, not all is lost. The great thing is now to know why you're feeling this way and how normal it is. It's this normal process of the brain to be able to be there and protect you. Your brain just wants to do everything it can the way it knows best to be able to protect you the way that it is. So if you're constantly in this fight and flight for such a long time, your fight is that combative, argumentative, competitive, vindictive, and then your flight is you're anxious, you're panic, you're worry, I can't sit down, I've got to do something, I'm always failing, I'm always behind, let's do this, let's do that, right? Chasing your tail, eventually your brain's like, I'm done, I am tired. So then we need to go into conservation mode. And that's when it will either choose your freeze, which is shut down, numbness, I'm done, I don't want to do anything, loss of motivation. And it even has physiological symptoms like decreasing your heart rate, decreasing your facial expressions, and then it can even be reducing your sexual functions. So then loss of intimacy. I don't want any of that anymore. And then it can also increase your fawn, FAWN, which is that people pleasing, I don't care, just do whatever you want. I can't fight anymore, even if I don't want to do anything. I'll just agree, I'll just surrender, I'll just comply. Okay, it's very, very, very important that we can identify it, that it's not my fault and it's not my choice. My brain is making these decisions for me, okay? So it's about learning how to be conscious and awake, being present within yourself and understanding your own patterns and why you are burnout, what's going on with you, okay? So to recover from burnout, the easiest thing for me to tell you now without coming in for a session is understanding true self-care and true self-compassion. So self-care is not randomly getting a massage and then expecting everything to get better, okay? Self-care is helping us self-soothe. So self-soothing, so just say when your child's upset and they're having a little tanny and they're losing their biscuits, the thing they need, because they can't regulate and self-soothe themselves, is generally their mum or dad to come along and to tell them that everything's going to be okay. I'm here for you. This is only temporary. We will get through this together. Everything's going to be okay. So when you're able to self-soothe, you're essentially able to do that for yourself. I am okay. This is only temporary. I'm doing the best that I can. Everything's going to be okay. What do I need in this moment to make me feel safe? To make me feel that everything's going to be okay? So when we are upset and overwhelmed, can we please talk to ourselves kindly and then acknowledge our distress? Because even though it's psychological distress, which is burnout, we experience physiological distress. So that can be your hands shaking, your nervousness, a feeling in our chest. It can constantly feel like my face is on fire, do you know? And then physiologically, I can't sit down, I can't relax, I'm running, okay? So when we are upset and overwhelmed, please talk to ourselves kindly and acknowledge our distress. So that would now look like, I am upset and I am overwhelmed. I do feel alone. I do feel like everything is on my shoulders. I feel trapped in this moment. What do I need in this moment to know that everything's going to be okay? Having self-compassion, you're doing really well with everything that you're processing at the moment. Everything's going to be okay. We also need to try and re-evaluate our life patterns. So I had a podcast last week on habitual routines. So habitual essentially just means habits. So what are the routines that we've had that are habits in our life? Are these habits still serving us? Are they still relevant? Or actually, are they making me feel more trapped and exacerbating burnout? Okay? If we can re-evaluate our life patterns, are there things we can change in our everyday routine that will make us happier? The feminine needs to be able to be free and spontaneous. So, can I play music in the morning? Can I put on items of clothing that make me feel happier? Can I do something with my children, such as tell each other jokes that we can laugh? If your kids watch phones and YouTube, maybe sitting down with them and watching comedy together, or bloopers or funniest home videos, and then all of us laughing together and taking the pressure off. Can we develop better coping skills? These coping skills can look like retraining our automatic thoughts. So remember before when I was talking about your negative core beliefs or your emotional wounds, understanding what they are and what our automatic thoughts are. There's also these things called intrusive thoughts. So you're just walking down the street, next thing you know, you're like, bam, all these thoughts are coming in. I don't want to know them. I don't even know where they came from, but they're awful and they're intrusive and they're offensive and I don't like them and they put me down. So we'll do an episode about that later. But understanding our automatic thoughts, where did they come from? Do they sound familiar? Are they thoughts from my childhood that my parents would say? Are they thoughts from people that criticize me that I now believe? What are our automatic thoughts? Why are they here? And can I be able to retrain them? Okay? If we can learn emotional intelligence, this will be a whole nother episode as well. If we can understand emotional intelligence, there's a theory that people with emotional intelligence actually are more successful and have a greater life quality in compared to those who have a high IQ. And that's because people with emotional intelligence are able to understand and identify their own emotions. They're able to then label them, what they are and why they're feeling the way that they are. And then they're able to articulate them. I'm upset because you did this, so I need you to help me with this. I'm feeling this way because you did this. Or I really feel this way and I really need help because of this. And when you genuinely and authentic understand and practice emotional intelligence, it can help you understand instantly what other people are thinking and feeling and then being there for them. So then you can connect with humans on a different level. Humans need connection. We are social beings. And if we're isolated and ostracized, it can be the worst awful pain that you can ever experience. So learning emotional intelligence can be so phenomenally fantastic because I can understand myself and then I can help understand each other. There's this amazing process when you do learn emotional intelligence and then you're able to teach it to your kids. So your kids, once you teach it to them, especially if you have boys, they can then articulate, I felt really embarrassed when you called me up in front of the class. So can you give me a heads up in the future? So if your kids can actually articulate, I'm embarrassed, or I feel humiliated, or I'm really excited, or I'm really I'm not going on about it, but whatever. But if you do have emotional intelligence, it can help you ask for help more often because you have the language to do that. So it's really difficult for women, for mothers sometimes to ask for help. So especially if we are that people pleaser or that perfectionist, or if we have OCD tendencies, it's like this trap. Because if I ask for help, or if people ask to help me, and then they do it, but I don't like the way that they do it, or they're doing it wrong, or then I feel like they do something and they're trying to help, but they actually make it worse, right? So then it adds extra work for me. So there's that beautiful fine line between that perfectionism, OCD kind of stuff, to be able to relax and let go, to accept help, to kind of surrender, to understand that everyone's different and unique, and sometimes done is better than perfect. So understanding as well where you learned that, and obviously when you're really anxious, when you are really overwhelmed, these behaviors kind of exacerbate as well. There's that movie back in the day with Jim Carrey, what is it, Yes Man? And every time someone asked him something, whatever question it was, you had to say yes. Would you like a biscuit? Yes. Would you like to come out for lunch? Yes. Would you like some help? Yes. Would you like me to pick up the kids? Yes, I would. And then understanding if that's really difficult for you, what are your barriers in your own self-sabotage for you not being vulnerable, okay? So we are social beings, reaching out to those we feel trust with and to help make us laugh. It sometimes can be really difficult if we don't feel like we're surrounded by people we can trust. So this in itself is a whole problem. So how can we realize who are the people around that I can trust, that I can lean on? And if they're not many, how can I join something or a group of women or a group of mothers or connect with others that I can kind of rebuild trust in some way, so I have that social connection, so I'm not alone. Laughter is so important. There's this amazing comedian, her name is Ali Wong, ALIWONG. She's an American, funniest comedian ever, especially in terms of motherhood. So if you haven't laughed for a while, go and YouTube her, or I think she might even be on Netflix, but I think she's got about 4. If you listen to the first one first, I think it's called Baby Cobra. Yeah, she is hilarious and she will make your day. So finding these little things that can give us joy. Humans are built for pleasure. If you're not having pleasure and joy and laughter, there is something really wrong. So how can we get that back? Okay? Also, no brainer, adding relaxation strategies every single day. So that could be if you are crazy, busy, burnout, right? How can I in the morning maybe just wake up 10 minutes earlier, have a cup of tea in bed and just chill for a minute? Or even at the end of the day when I'm alone at night, or, by yourself in bed, or even if you're not by yourself, whatever, no judgment. How can I have this relaxation at night? Or even giving myself like a little hand massage. That's really lovely. Another beautiful, easy relaxation strategy is when you're in the shower and you're feeling the water falling from above you. Imagine this water is beautiful and healing and cleansing, and it washes all the toxic stuff off from the day, or if you've had a bad night, if your kids are still waking heaps or whatever's going on. So when you have a shower, imagine even if you close your eyes, imagine the shower as a certain healing color, and as this water comes down over you, it starts to heal and cleanse and remove anything that's anxious or anything that's tight, and then it all eventually gets bad stuff down the drain. So that can be a really lovely one, especially if you had like crazy hectic day and then come home and it's like Burko at home with kids, obviously crazy witching hour at the end of the day, coming home, having a quick shower, washing all the stress off of the day, and then being able to come back into the house with your kids present. Because when you are present and you are happy and you are relaxed, it's this beautiful self-regulating. Remember that self-soothing I was talking about? When your kids are upset and they're having tantrums, all they need is for you to be okay. And this is how important it is and why you need to prioritize yourself. Because if you are okay, everyone else is okay. The mum is the matriarch. This is why I need to make you mentally strong. Because if you are mentally strong, you can handle anything. And this is what I really, really, really need to emphasize, that you are capable of this. All of this is within you. It's about understanding what you need, and all of those negative things that you've had in your life, being able to shed them because they don't serve you anymore. All of this beautiful stuff, hopefully, that I can tell you is everything that I've learned and how I've changed. It's literally a cheat sheet, all of these podcasts, to kind of be your authentic self and to get into your happiness, okay? So, relaxation strategies, yes, every day, even if they're only tiny, okay? There's this really cool thing that you can do. So if you clean your teeth with your right hand, just for a couple of days, clean your teeth with your left hand. And when you clean it with your left hand, say 3 things that are positive about you. So 3 things, because this is a really quick, easy way of rewiring your brain in terms of neuroplasticity. If you don't know neuroplasticity, Google it. neuroplasticity. So clean your teeth with your opposite hand and then say words like, I am funny, I am a good mum, I am a wonderful friend, I am really intelligent, I like myself, I deserve happiness, whatever those words are. And then the more you can do that by doing it with your left hand, it's bilateral brain, and then it kind of rewires your brain quicker. It's very, very cool. So I'll try and give you all of these little tidbits along the way. So it's very, very, very important for you to be able to prioritize yourself in some way without the guilt, but being realistic, and not just if you can afford and have massages, like that is phenomenal and amazing. But if that's not plausible or realistic for me, I need to help you with realistic strategies that you can do that you don't feel bad about, okay? If you don't make time for your wellness, your body will force you to make time for your recovery. It's a phenomenal saying. If you don't make time for your wellness, your body will force you to make time for your illness. So obviously, be conscious if you are an emotional eater. If you are, that's okay. Eating your feelings when I'm hangry, right? I love the fridge. Me and the fridge have a lovely relationship together. It's been going on for about, well, you know, how old's my eldest? 9. It's been going on for about 9 years now. So understanding if you are a bit of an emotional eater, sometimes it can be an unusual form of addiction because the feelings are really quite overwhelming and I feel trapped and I need to numb myself or distract myself. And if I don't have any pleasure in my life at all, sometimes I get pleasure from the fridge, and that's why I emotionally eat. So understanding if you do obviously emotionally eat, understanding why. If it's not a problem for you, it's not a problem for you. The problem is when I don't want to do it, but I can't help but go to the fridge. Or if I want to say no to myself because I don't want to, but I can't. That's when it's a problem, okay? If you're an emotional eater, let's have at it, go mental, you know, that's me. But understanding when I don't want to do something, but I feel compelled or some kind of compulsion to do it, that's when, you know, we need a bit of help because we can't do things on our own, because we need community and we need to feel connected. Always understanding why, your underlying motivations, because if we can start to understand ourselves on this beautiful, deeper level, it changes everything in our life. So this is me helping you to set yourself up with success, okay? And even if you are an emotional eater, having better snacks around that won't make you feel worse, all right? So even if you do like your cheese and bickies, having a little, what do they call it, charcuterie plate? But even just we cut up apples or carrots or I don't know, whatever you want to do. If you're a nut person, if you like cheese, but just kind of healthier stuff. So being very mindful as well every time that you open the fridge when you know that you're going through a phase of emotional eating. And this can also coincide with hormones, obviously. So if you're mindful, why am I doing this? What's going on for me at the moment? Am I actually hungry or am I really upset or frustrated? Fill in the blank, right? So there's this amazing thing as well called the Goldilocks principle. The Goldilocks principle with all of this, I feel like I'm talking for too much. I feel like I need to wrap it up, right? This will be it, the last little tidbit, okay? The Goldilocks principle is amazing because it's this beautiful thing of success. So, you know Goldilocks and the 3 bears? Not too hard, not too soft, just right. For us to feel success in our life, for us to feel like we've been accomplished, if we do tasks that are too easy, we get bored and then distracted. If we do tasks that are too hard, they're too overwhelming, I feel like I'm going to fail anyway, so what's the point? And then I give up. All of our tasks have to be in that beautiful little sweet spot, in the just right, that every time I complete them, I congratulate myself. I'm so proud of myself. You did it. Well done. Even if it's taking out the bin. You've been staring at the stupid bin for such a long time. You know, gets to the end of the day, it's just achievable. You've done something great today, you know? Goldilocks principle. Not too hard, not too soft, just right. So obviously burnout's huge. If this is all information that's too much and overwhelming for you, please go back and re-listen to it. You can even start to write down in dot points all of the things that I've said and how you can make little changes in your life. So it's really, really, really important. Even those 8-9 little ideas that I gave you, they can make a huge difference over a long period of time. And understanding that burnout isn't generally a choice, obviously. It's the way that our brain is overwhelmed and what our brain chooses to do as a coping mechanism. So that also can help you with compassion, that my brain's doing the best to protect me, and that's why it's shut down or pushing people away, or I'm really snappy. So we look at the evidence. If my brain is doing that, that's evidence of burnout. So to prevent burnout, these are the things that I need to do to be able to get back to myself, to calm, to regulate it, okay? Take time for yourself. Recognize when you are not feeling mentally well, and then being kind, having self-compassion, and remember that self-soothe. Give yourself a break. You do a lot, okay? There's a lot of pressure that mums have. Huge expectations. And then even within your relationship, when things aren't going wrong, it exacerbates and makes everything heavier and harder. And that's all we think about, okay? If you think about your partner more than you think of yourself, that has to change. Surround yourself with those who support you, and then learning about boundaries. Well, that will be a whole nother separate thing. Boundaries with those who make you feel drained or anxious. If all of these still aren't working and it's just this awful feeling, please talk to a professional when you're not feeling yourself. It can help you figure out why. It can help you realize what your coping mechanisms are, understanding what your default factory settings are. I've got this thing that everything that I'm teaching you is essentially a software upgrade, because normally we always go back to our default factory settings. So what will it take for you to get a software upgrade, right? Counselors obviously can give you strategies on how to grow and evolve into the life we want. But sometimes, even if you go see a counsellor, it's sometimes the only person that you can be truly honest with and open up and talk to. Can be awful and isolating if all of this is swirling around and around in my brain and I don't actually have anyone to talk to about it. Go see a counsellor. It's really easy. Even if you just want to do one of those online things, or even just dipping your toe when you're feeling overwhelmed and upset and calling Lifeline, you know? We have one life. Learning these strategies can set you up for long-term happiness, and always remember that you are worth it. So thank you so much for listening today. I really, really appreciate it. If all of this information was a lot, as I said, please go back and listen to it. Write down notes and how it will actually help support you, and then realizing how important you are, and all of this stuff's going to help you be emotionally, mentally strong. You don't have to be emotionally strong. You can be vulnerable. I don't know why I said that, but I want you to be emotionally strong. All right, have a lovely day. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll speak with you soon. Bye. If you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire podcast, and for that, I would like to thank you for your support. So you can find me on Instagram or Facebook at supportivetherapy_, and then you can find heaps of free resources online at www.supportivetherapy.com.au. So if today you did find my information useful, please leave a review and subscribe. By leaving a review, it's a value exchange. It's good karma. So I value your support just as much as you value my free information. And if you liked it, other mums can like it as well, hopefully, and then it can hopefully start a huge movement of people valuing mothers the way that they need to be valued. So please feel free to let me know what topics you would like to see in future episodes. Always feel free to get in touch with me in the comments. Otherwise, follow me on Supportive Therapy social media networks. Thank you so much for your time, and have a wonderful day, you beautiful mum.